Greetings and salutations, and off goes the glasses and on goes the eyes, which I think you're going to want to see a little of. Let me readjust the camera a bit. There we go. Anyways, you can probably tell by the thumbnail thing that I put on, yep, it's time to reveal this thing. Yep, I watched it. Now, before you ask, I didn't hate it, I was just blindedly confused by it. And I mean, okay, but before I continue on, it basically, this is Maleficent, the new, one of the more recent Disney films. You know, basically, let's take Sleeping Beauty and make it live action and do almost like we're doing like a switch around story, so we now see it from Maleficent's point of view, which, granted, I don't mind this idea, but, okay, we'll just carry on, okay. Just, basically in this one, we find out Maleficent was a fairy, King Stefan, I guess to begin with, wasn't a king, unlike with the animated one that they did back in, like, the late 60s, I think. No, late 50s, yeah. Late 50s or something like that. It was 1959 when that movie came out. And basically it goes route of, the king trying to destroy a Maleficent's home as opposed to Maleficent just being kind of a bitch. And she wanted to, kill his daughter for simply, existing, I guess. That's kind of the switch off here, I guess. Is that she had a reason not to like the daughter of King Stefan, even though, I think the movie gave enough reason not. I think people kind of forget where the idea of why that character even exists to begin with. Because Snow White, which, by the way, Snow White and Sleeping Beauty, if you watch the original two films, not the remakes, that just make me wonder why we're doing this at all. But, let's. They did this remake. Why they did that at all. Snow White and Cinderella, the animated Disney ones, were based off of the idea of, I guess it was the story of the Greek gods and Roman gods of the, apple concept, even though actually those fairy tales were taken from the Bible or something like that. Or something. Yeah, it's just that was inspired by that, the apple, it's usually depicted as an apple from the Garden of Eden or something like that. That was the apple of chaos. That's where they got the idea from that. So, yeah, and it was subscribed to the Theorist, i.e. one of the gods and goddesses that found it, who was, given by Eris, who was let's just, from a encyclopedia that I have about her, Eris is just basically an ugly witch who just like to cause a lot of problems for people. Now, that could be appearance, or she was just an ugly bitch who just, when she didn't get her way, acted like an ugly bitch. That's it. But my personal perspective, that's where they got the idea of Snow White. And then, of course, Disney decided to make Sleeping Beauty, but he didn't want it to be like Snow White, which, if you watch that one, it kind of fails in comparison because to that one. in the first place, because it's like, well, let's see. There's the two women in either one of these stories are, you know, not so much unattractive, but pure evil. Just evil, you know. One tries to steal Snow White's beauty in some way, of, you know, make her do all the cleaning and all that stuff. Uh, and the other one is, well, she's just jealous of, I don't know, Sleeping Beauty just being there. There's just nothing there for her to be evil about. She just felt like being a bitch. That's it. Which, yeah, I think that story, I don't mind the idea of a remake, that kind of thing. Well, in this one, like I said, they're trying to make Maleficent a good guy. Which, again, I don't mind the idea of her being a good guy. It just kind of, I think they kind of forget. The story is relatively simple anyway, so either you're going to follow the original telling of it or fuck it up beyond all belief, which they kind of do here. Yeah, but I don't hate this movie that much. I was just kind of confused by it. That's all it was. That's all I can really give you. Because it's like, okay, there was no Moors. I mean, I'm sure maybe the original film was, original story might have had this. But even then, I'm still pretty comfortable with the idea that Maleficent's still a bitch. Okay? And it would have been better if they just let her be evil, but not try to make her a maternal character. I think that's kind of what happens, but I don't want to give away too much of the story, but this is what happens in that film, and she becomes a good guy. But yeah, it's but I want to say to E-Rod, who reviewed this video or reviewed this movie, I didn't have as much of an issue with I'll admit, in this one, I didn't have as much of an issue with the two of her being the prince and not being in love with her, as well, neither was the prince. It was just like, okay, be on your way, yep, nice meeting you, bye. They didn't go into it, they didn't try to make them fall in love in a forceful way. They just like, oh, okay, saw you, heard you singing, thought I'd say hi. But that is all. Wow, the other one, it was a romantic tour de force. Which that's fine. I don't have an issue with that. Again, I don't have an issue with the whole true love thing. Because, in my opinion, this really is not true love. Not so much that there can't be true love between someone you just met, or between a man and a woman, or between parents or whatever. It's just that you don't really pick the person you love in the first place. And that's not evil. That's not a bad thing. Because no one does. We kind of just we feel a moment of destiny and thought, and then it's just, we run with it. 95% of the time, we do. So, really, it's like, I'm not opposed to the idea that you might have had love for someone when you were 6 or 7. Because, in my opinion, even if someone can say, well, that's lust, well, it is one of the 4 loves. Which is, I'll discuss in another video, but you know, the agape, eros, stoic, and philia. And for the most part, that's eros, which has to do with lust. Not the best kind of love, not one to get married on right off, until you feel comfortable, at least with the philia kind of love, where, you know, you are equals, as in you can get along and love each other, despite the fact that the other one ain't jumping your hindquarters, if you get what I mean. But at the same time, I have nothing against this film. You know, I think Angelina Jolie was perfect. The only thing that sucks about it is, why try and make Maleficent a good guy? I would have been okay with her being the bad guy. I don't get why making her a good guy. You know, oh, and of course the three fairies. Okay, yes, they were funny in the original movie. However, they're not Larry, Moe, and Curly, and they don't need to be the gender-bent one versions of that. Okay? It doesn't really square up. Okay? Doesn't make sense. Also, putting the baby in danger constantly. That was stupid as well. Didn't think that was... I mean, it's not that I didn't think it was funny at some points, but it was like, they're not idiots. None of these people are supposed to be that stupid. I probably would say King Stefan did not, when I watched this movie, that's another thing towards Erod, he mentioned that the king was all about power and, whatever. No, actually, he was kind of concerned, in my opinion. At least it seemed concernful to me, because even though, yes, he said, lock her up in her room and blah, 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 which I'm like, well, yeah, lock her up in her room. She wasn't supposed to be there a day before the spell was to be broken. Okay. Again, though, I don't think, it's just, if anything, it just seems like, oh, yes, we're trying to give Maleficent a second chance of being, well, not a bitch. That's all it felt like to me, an unnecessary one. But, like I said, Angelina Jolie, she's not that bad. I still feel like, and when I think about this, we've already done, like, live-action films before, like 101 Dalmatians. Yeah, this movie kicks that movie's ass in comparison. And I really don't want any more live-action ones, and I'm not kidding about it. Disney, no more. No mas. I don't care. I don't want to see the Dumbo film. I'm not kidding about that one. Seriously, it's not like you haven't. I think it was like Operation Dumbo or some larger than life. Like we've done 2 different films similar to this, to like some elephant movie or something like that. Which I don't have a problem with. Yes, I scratched myself over a scar or something. But yeah, I gotta admit this was kind of disappointing, but all I can say is, please show your kids the original one so they can watch this and actually have a legit opinion. Anyways, this has been Dorothy Eclectic telling you all to keep it frosty and have a great night. And may you prick your finger on a spinning wheel. That's if you could find one in this modern day society. And goodbye. And keep it frosty.